I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all that I have. I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed. I am so grateful. I am so blessed.
I guess we didn't need lyrics. So, good afternoon. My name is Priscilla Taylor, and I am today's service associate. Camhi will be presenting our message this afternoon. Our opening words this afternoon are by Lynn Harrison. Committed to respond to the call of a wounded world, we join together this day with loving hearts, hands, and minds. Embracing the interconnected web of water, air, and earth, we light a fire of sustaining hope, ever bright with love and justice. May we bring forth this day new wisdom, strength, and courage to create a new world, not of wealth, but well-being. A world of new peace and abundance for all. As we give thanks for this earth, our shared and singular home, may we dedicate ourselves to His ongoing care. Rising to the calls deep within us and all around us, may we respond today and always with courage and with love. And so, I just want to welcome you to our LCUUF Sunday service. May you discover an abundance of truths that resonate with your spirit here. Our announcements were on a slideshow before the service while we were out having coffee, and were also sent out with our weekly newsletter. If you're new and you'd like to receive that newsletter and other emails, please talk to a member of the welcome team or write to us at info@lcuuf.org. And now, a special welcome to our visitors. If you're visiting with us for the first time, or have returned or reconnected with us after a long absence, we invite you to say your name, tell us where you're from. If you're on Zoom, please introduce yourself in the chat box, and it'll be read aloud in the fellowship. And we'll start with people in the room. So, do we have any visitors today? Here's them.
I'm Marie Summers, and I'm with my husband Charles, and we're visiting from the state of Washington, and we could use a ride home.
They could use a ride home to Washington.
Hello, I'm Kenneth, and this is my wife Freya, and it's been a couple of years since we've been here. Our first time in Ahihik was 7 years ago, and we've been back and forth since, and this time I just bought a one-way ticket, so we'll see.
I'm Mia Ruiz. I've been a resident of Chapala for 8 years, lived in Texas and in Florida, and I'm delighted to be here.
Kate, do we have any visitors on Zoom?
For a change, yes, we do. We have a message from Jane in Texas. She says, I'm Jane Lorenzen in Plano, Texas. I'm looking at potential retirement sites, so I'd like to check out the UU congregations. Welcome, Jane.
Okay. So, welcome to all our visitors and newcomers, both in person and on Zoom. Next, here at LCUUF, we offer a wide variety of services on various topics presented by our members, outside guests, as well as our minister, Reverend Matt Alspa. We hope you'll return to sample this variety of thought and belief. Our chalice lighting words today are by Don Cooley. We light our chalice this afternoon, grateful for the love and friendships that we experience in this beloved community. May the flame light the way for all who seek such abundance in their lives. Now, having lit our chalice, let us sing these words together.
Rekindle this night in celebration for the life that we share.
Ours is a welcoming community where we find connection, a spiritual community where we find meaning. Ours is a sharing community where our joys are amplified, a caring community where our sorrows are lessened. We take this moment to reflect briefly on our joys and sorrows and acknowledge the mutual support of our community because there's power in the sharing. We'll start with the people in the room to give those on Zoom a chance to type joys or sorrows into the chat that will be read out loud by Kate. First, let us voice our sorrows, whatever you or the world may be holding that is in need of our healing and caring thoughts. Are there any sorrows that people would like to share here in the room? Excellent. And are there any sorrows? It was a very brief time. Usually we have a few things to talk about first. But has anyone on Zoom typed up any sorrows?
Yes, we do have a request from Trudy. I would like a candle of concern lit for Lois Gugini, who has been suffering from when her car's impact bag accidentally exploded. And I believe that's everything.
Can you repeat the name? Lois. We're all thinking of Lois, who's still experiencing difficulties with that. That was about 2 months ago. Now, let us share our joys. Whatever you may be celebrating, whatever evokes a feeling of joy or peace for yourself or others. Are there any joys that people would like to share here in the room?
Hi, I'm Flo. And my emotions always seem to be mixed and bittersweet. You know, I too share but I'm inspired because I visited with Lois and I'm inspired by her energy, you know, and hope for what she's going through, which kind of, you know, how complicated things go. You know, an airbag puts on this and then other things. But also Trudy, who is a major, amazing woman who is just healing like a champ. And I'm grateful to be here and happy for our country and the process that we're seeing that we thought was maybe dead. It's not. We're not going back.
I'm Richard. I have a joy about Charlie, that it looks like he is going to be able to get cardiac care from the Jalisco Salud is the name of it. It's the new service that is available to everyone in Jalisco. Carol and I signed up for our cards last week. Charlie went to the hospital within a week of the time that he signed up. And so this is a new kind of resource that looks like is available to all of us. And what we need to do is learn to use it and learn what kind of services it can provide.
Any others? Okay. Kate, any joys on Zoom?
We have no joys to share on Zoom today. Oh, wait. Yes, there is. From Jane in Texas to everyone, it's a small world joy. I just ran into a long time ago colleague on Zoom.
Okay. And then there will be a candle lit from our care team that represents the joys and sorrows we hold in the silent sanctuary of our hearts. We light this candle for all those unspoken sorrows and joys. Let us share a moment of silence to hold in our hearts both these sorrows and joys that have been shared this morning. When we pass the baskets during our worship service, we make a community expression of thanks for the blessing of abundance. We visibly bring in the harvest at this most cherished hour of our week. Our offering says that the act of giving is as essential to our spiritual well-being as anything else we do here on Sunday mornings. As we pass the baskets, if you're new here today or you're struggling to hold things together, let the basket pass you by. Your presence is more than enough and is a gift to us. Each week, we give half of the money collected at the service to an organization providing services to our lakeside community. For the month of August, we are supporting Asociación Pro Mexico with their Second Chances program, housed in San Juan Cosola. Each year, women from 11 villages throughout the Lake Chapala region are enrolled in a 7 to 10 month course, free of charge, which provides education and career training, as well as mentoring. 30 to 40 women graduate each term and go on to support their families, themselves, and the community in a variety of ways. If you're not attending the fellowship in person, please donate to Share the Basket when you pay your pledge. Donate to Share the Basket separately, or indicate what part of your donation is for Share the Basket. The offering has now been given and received in the spirit of grateful fellowship. Dee Dee will now present the first reading.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Are we on? Am I on? Yeah, okay. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dee Dee Camhi, and I'm going to be reading a piece by a man named Richard Gilbert, and it's called The Chalice of Our Being. And I don't have a chalice, but can you imagine that I'm holding one as we're speaking? So you see this beautiful chalice and the candle lit? Okay, so each afternoon we hold out our chalice of being to be filled with the graces of life that abound. Air to breathe, food to eat, companions to love, beauty to behold, art to cherish, and causes to serve. They come in a ritual procession, these gifts of life. Whether we deserve them, we cannot know, we cannot say, for they are poured out for us. Our task is to hold steady the chalice of our being. We carry the chalice with us as we go, either meandering aimlessly or with a destination in our eye. We share its abundance if we have any sense, reminding others as we remind ourselves of the contents of the chalice that we might not deserve. But I think we do deserve it. Water from living streams fills it. Only we hold it now faithfully. We give back. We can give something of ourselves, some love, some beauty, some grace, some gifts. We give back in gratitude if we can, something like what is poured into our chalice of being. Each afternoon, we hold out the chalice of our being to receive, to carry, and to give back. So let's all pretend that we all have a chalice in our hands right now. And think about what you're giving or what you're getting back. I'm sure it's both. It's a lot in both. Okay, thank you. Our opening hymn today is Here We Have Gathered. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing.
Here we have gathered side by side, circle of friendship, come and step inside. May all who seek here find a kindly word. May all who speak here feel they have been heard. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Here we have gathered all to celebrate days of our lifetime, matter small and great. We of all ages, women, children, men, infants and sages, sharing what we can. Sing now together this our heart's own song. Life has its battle, sorrows and regret. Lord, in the shadows, let us not forget. We who not gather know each other's pain. Kindness can heal us as we give, we gain. Sing now in friendship this our heart's own song.
This responsive reading is by Julian Jamaico Soto, a UU minister and activist. I will read the words in bold. Please respond with the words in italics. All that we are, together and individually, is part of the abundance of the universe. And the stars. All that we have comes from Earth, from the labor of those in our communities. Cities, farms, world. We're surrounded by blessing, by grace, and by possibilities. We respect and honor one another's differences. And
When I first thought about doing this presentation, I thought, me? Oh, please. I can't see anything about abundance in my life or in the lives around me. The title of this program is Abundance, okay? I felt that the world was falling apart. Just look around us. Scarcity was all I could see. People were struggling. It was getting hotter all over the world, which you all experienced. People were having a terrible time adjusting to the new temperatures. I heard that it's 106 degrees in Dallas right now, maybe higher other places. Anyway, there wasn't enough to eat. There wasn't enough food, not enough clean air to breathe, no rain, creating deserts where there was always had been arable and plentiful lands. Oh, or there was too much water, creating floods, tsunamis, and drownings. And famine was rampant. Corruption, especially in the country where I was living, was all around me. People were losing their life savings due to unscrupulous schemes, especially people of my age who were having a really hard time. Wars were continuing with no end in sight. New wars and conflicts were breaking out. We talk about these wars every week. They won't go away. They just keep escalating. Governments were stagnating. Democracies were becoming autocracies. Even in my country, we were seeing attempts in making our government into an autocracy. Just look at the news that I was watching every night on TV. Personally, I felt like my life was shrinking. I had fewer connections. I had fewer friends than I'd ever had before. Members of my immediate family were pulling away from me or cutting ties completely. And some of you know my story. And I, the person who always thought I was so youthful, was aging. Just look at all the wrinkles on my face. Oh my, why am I even continuing? Well, after some real deep analysis and work, preparing for this talk, thinking about my life, seeing some of my friends, talking to some of my friends, chatting with my husband, I very slowly began to realize that no, I wasn't only living in a world of hardship and malaise, but I was also living in a world of normalcy. It's always been like this. This is a way of the world. I could either reject it, or I can wallow in my misery. Or I could see the other side of the coin, flip it over, and maybe there was something positive on the other side. One thing I have to say that has really helped me radically change my perspectives is when I learned of what is happening in my country of birth, and a lot of your countries of birth. A significant change was occurring. The political scene that I was seeing was lightening for all the world to see. If I were not here today, you would be seeing a big button on me that shows a lovely woman's face, and you know who it is. But I'm here in a religious environment, so I decided not to wear it this morning. But you all know who it is, correct? I think you do. Everyone was pleased with the transition. People began smiling again. Faces were lifted. My work helping people to register to vote, which I do every single Monday, was becoming less of a burden and more of a delight. And I'll tell you, in the beginning, I was faced with grumpy people. Oh yeah, well, I'll register to vote, but it's a lot different. People now are gracious, thanking me for all the work that they're getting in their desire to vote in the upcoming election. I began hearing words like joy, happiness, future, possibility, words like freedom, future, even love thy neighbor. Such a difference. I began seeing smiles on people's faces and feeling warmth from them. Okay, and as I was making this wonderful transition, as all of us were, a lot of things were happening. life was going on as it always had been. The sun was rising every day, the skies were brilliant as they are today, or the rains were back, nourishing the parched earth that we were living with before. Both were very, very beneficial. The fears that were strangling me before seemed to be abated. And I have so many examples now to show you how my life and how many of ours together have improved. Let me just talk about one. I remember back in the 1970s, we were all going to die because there was this thing called acid rain. Remember acid rain? That was killing the forests, killing the air, killing the children. It was just terrible. Well, it was considered one of planet's most dire environmental threats in the 60s and 70s. But by the late 1970s, some things were changing. Human innovation began to play a huge role in averting the disaster. There was worldwide recognitions about how to abate acid rain. People, individuals, organizations, governments began to recognize the real power, and laws were put into place to mitigate this acid rain. Remember catalytic converters? They were placed on all of our cars. More energy was produced using solar and wind sources. There are now farms and fields of solar panels. We never saw those before the 1970s, but they're there today. Governments are all over the world are developing laws and means to limit the pollution in the air. Now, the results were a significant drop in sulfur dioxide emission, and it continues to be lowered every year. But while some experts feel that the emission rates are still too high, I think many of us do, the fact is that this eco-apocalypse predicted in the 1970s never did arise. Of course, the problem of acid rain still exists all over the world, but now governments and corporations are working hard to mitigate it. Trees are still growing. Forests are being regenerated. And guess what? The sun is still shining. There are still billions of people in the world living in back-breaking destitutions. But at the current rate of decline, it's estimated that people living in absolute poverty will diminish and even hit zero by 2035. I sure hope I'm around to see that. This was stated by a gentleman named Matt Ridley. Anybody ever hear of Matt Ridley? He is a member of the British House of Lords, and he wrote a book called The Rational Optimist: How Prosperity Evolves. And we hope he is right. He gives a lot of examples. The Chinese are 10 times richer than they were. They have 1/3 fewer babies and live 28 years longer. Cell phones. Is there anybody in this room who does not have a cell phone? They are much cheaper and readily available. It is predicted that by the year 2030, which is only 6 years from now, more than 70% of the world population will own cell phones and will have the capacity to use the internet as a regular tool. And I have to tell you, one of my best friends is Mr. Google, or Ms. Google, or Mrs. Google, whoever she is. She's really been helping me a lot. And here's another example. This is an old example, but let's go back to Thor Heyerdahl. We all know who Thor Heyerdahl is? No, he was the gentleman who took a raft from Peru to Hawaii in the 1600s? 1600s, yeah. 1700s. A long time ago. A long time ago. Okay. So, let's say we want to take that trip today with Thor. Okay, he was on a raft with a little, what's this thing called? A sail. Okay, what you don't have to do today is you don't have to hike into the forest. You don't have to cut down a tree. You don't have to spend time tending a slow-burning fire to hollow out the tree's cores. You don't have to work for weeks chiseling that core to make this a seaworthy vessel. And then you don't even have to take all the time to drag that vessel down to the beach. And you know how far that is. Today, we'd have to haul fresh water while we were doing all this work, haul fresh water, hunt for meat, find enough salt to preserve the meat so that we could keep living while we're preparing the boat. Oh, we'd have a multiple tasks to do. And today, what do? You either, I want a trip from Hawaii to Peru, comes up on my screen, I print it out, I take it to the airport, and I'm ready to go. And we get to Peru safely and on time. But back to my scarcity model. Here's my glass of water. Is this water half empty or half full? I think it's half full because it's brimming with potable water, no deadly chemicals, no poisons, just enough to quench my thirst and let me move on. Oop. What else do I have? Weather continues warm and moderate around me because I live here. I live in a cozy and beautiful house. I'm mobile and can easily get around in my surroundings, either by foot or mechanized means. Many of you came in this morning in mechanized means. I have enough money to meet my daily needs. I even have enough money to afford myself some luxuries. The ability to travel. Sometimes I can even eat in lovely restaurants. I have enough apparatuses to keep me learning and expanding my horizons. I have books, I have a television set, a computer, the internet, a telephone that connects me all over the world. This morning, I chatted with my son, who was up in Massachusetts, and we had a lovely conversation. I even have the medications that ease my distress and pain that is caused in my body. And I'm very fortunate because I was able to be with some of the finest doctors in the world who helped me cure a condition, and here I am today. Scarcity? I think not. So in my work as a TED Talk facilitator that I was doing last year, and we will continue at LCS in the fall, if anyone would like to come, they're great TED Talks and great discussions. I came across a video that I'd like to share with you. It's by a gentleman named Peter Diamandis, and he has really helped me alter my perception of the world, and I think he'll help you as well. He wrote a book called Abundance: The Future is Better Than You Think. Please get comfortable in your chairs, and I hope Peter will help change your perspective. He has certainly helped change mine.
Threats in the wake of bin Laden's death have spiked.
Famine in Somalia.
Police pepper spray.
Vicious cartels.
Coptic cruise lines. Societal decay. 65 dead.
Tsunami warning.
Cyber attacks.
Drug war.
Mass destruction.
Tornado. Recession. Default. Doomsday.
Egypt.
Syria.
Crisis. Death. Disaster.
Oh my God.
So those are just a few of the clips I collected over the last 6 months. Could have easily been the last 6 days or the last 6 years. The point is that the news media preferentially feeds us negative stories because that's what our minds pay attention to. And there's a very good reason for that. Every second of every day, our senses bring in way too much data that we can possibly process in our brains. And because nothing is more important to us than survival, the first stop of all of that data is an ancient sliver of the temporal lobe called the amygdala. Now, the amygdala is our early warning detector, our danger detector. It sorts and scours through all of the information, looking for anything in the environment that might harm us. So given a dozen news stories, we will preferentially look at the negative news. And that old newspaper saying, if it bleeds, it leads, is very true. So given all of our digital devices that are bringing all the negative news to us 7 days a week, 24 hours a day, it's no wonder that we're pessimistic. It's no wonder that people think that the world is getting worse. But perhaps that's not the case. Perhaps instead, it's the distortions brought to us of what's really going on. Perhaps the tremendous progress we've made over the last century by a series of forces are in fact accelerating to a point that we have the potential in the next 3 decades to create a world of abundance. Now, I'm not saying we don't have our set of problems. Climate crisis, species extinction, water and energy shortage, we surely do. And as humans, we are far better at seeing the problems way in advance, but ultimately, we knock them down. So let's look at what this last century has been to see where we're going. Over the last 100 years, the average human lifespan has more than doubled. Average per capita income adjusted for inflation around the world has tripled. Childhood mortality has come down a factor of 10. Add to that the cost of food, electricity, transportation, communications have dropped 10 to 1,000-fold. Steve Pinker has showed us that, in fact, we're living during the most peaceful time ever in human history. And Charles Camhi, that global literacy has gone from 25% to over 80% in the last 130 years. We truly are living in an extraordinary time. And many people forget this. And we keep setting our expectations higher and higher. In fact, we redefine what poverty means. Think of this. In America today, the majority of people under the poverty line still have electricity, water, toilets, refrigerators, television, mobile phones, air conditioning, and cars. The wealthiest robber barons of the last century, the emperors on this planet, could have never dreamed of such luxuries. Underpinning much of this is technology, and of late, exponentially growing technologies. My good friend Ray Kurzweil showed that any tool that becomes an information technology jumps on this curve, on Moore's law, and experiences price performance doubling every 12 to 24 months. That's why the cell phone in your pocket is literally 1,000,000 times cheaper and 1,000 times faster than the supercomputer of the 70s. Now look at this curve. This is Moore's law over the last 100 years. I want you to notice 2 things from this curve. Number 1, how smooth it is. Through good time and bad time, wartime and peacetime, recession, depression, and boom time. This is the result of faster computers being used to build faster computers. It doesn't slow for any of our grand challenges. And also, even though it's plotted on a log curve on the left, it's curving upwards. The rate at which the technology is getting faster is itself getting faster. And on this curve, riding on Moore's law, are a set of extraordinarily powerful technologies available to all of us. Cloud computing, what my friends at Autodesk call infinite computing, sensors and networks, robotics, 3D printing, which is the ability to democratize and distribute personalized production around the planet, synthetic biology, fuels, vaccines, and foods, digital medicine, nanomaterials, and AI. I mean, how many of you saw 4 years ago here at TED, Ray Kurzweil and I started a new university called Singularity University. And we teach our students all of these technologies, in particular, how they can be used to solve humanity's grand challenges. And every year we ask them to start a company or a product or a service that can affect positively the lives of 1 billion people within a decade. Think about that, the fact that literally a group of students can touch the lives of 1 billion people today. 30 years ago, that would have sounded ludicrous. Today, we can point at dozens of companies that have done just that. When I think about creating abundance, it's not about creating a life of luxury for this planet. It's about creating a life of possibility. It is about taking that which was scarce and making it abundant. You see, scarcity is contextual, and technology is a resource-liberating force. Let me give you an example. Ladies and gentlemen, we are on a planet that is bathed with 5,000 times more energy than we use in a year. 16 terawatts of energy hits the Earth's surface every 88 minutes. It's not about being scarce, it's about accessibility. And there's good news here. For the first time this year, the cost of solar-generated electricity is 50% that of diesel-generated electricity in India. 8.8 rupees versus 17 rupees. The cost of solar dropped 50% last year. Last month, MIT put out a study showing that by the end of this decade, in the sunny parts of the United States, solar electricity would be 6 cents a kilowatt hour compared to 15 cents as a national average. And if we have abundant energy, we also have abundant water. Now, we talk about water wars. Do you remember when Carl Sagan turned the Voyager spacecraft back towards the Earth in 1990 after it just passed Saturn? He took a famous photo. What was it called? Right, a pale blue dot. Because we live on a water planet. We live on a planet 70% covered by water. Yes, 97.5% is salt water, 2% is ice, and we fight over 0.5% of the water on this planet. But here, too, there is hope, and there is technology coming online not 10, 20 years from now, right now. There's nanotechnology coming on, nanomaterials, and the conversation I had with Dean Kamen this morning, one of the great DIY innovators I'd like to share with you, he gave me permission to do so. His technology called Slingshot, that many of you may have heard of, it's the size of a small dorm room refrigerator. It's able to generate 1,000 liters of clean drinking water a day out of any source, salt water, polluted water, latrine, at less than 2 cents a liter. The chairman of Coca-Cola has just a 80% penetration of cell phones in the developing world by the end of 2013. Think about it. That a Maasai warrior on a cell phone in the middle of Kenya has better mobile comm than President Reagan did 25 years ago. And if they're on a smartphone on Google, they've got access to more knowledge and information than President Clinton did 15 years ago. They're living in a world of information and communication abundance that no one could have ever predicted. Better than that, the things that you and I spent tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars for, GPS, HD video and still images, libraries of books and music, medical diagnostic technology, are now literally dematerializing and demonetizing into your cell phone. Probably the best part of it is what's coming down the pike in health. Last month, I had the pleasure of announcing with Qualcomm Foundation something called the $10 million Qualcomm Tricorder X Prize. We're challenging teams around the world to basically combine these technologies into a mobile device that you can speak to because it's got AI, you can cough on it, you can do a finger blood prick, and to win, it needs to be able to diagnose you better than a team of board-certified doctors. So literally, imagine this device in the middle of the developing world where there are no doctors, 25% of the disease burden and 1.3% of the healthcare workers. When this device sequences an RNA or DNA virus that it doesn't recognize, it calls the CDC and prevents the pandemic from happening in the first place. But here is the biggest force for bringing about a world of abundance. I call it the rising billion. So the white lines here are population. We just passed the 7 billion mark on Earth. And by the way, the biggest protection against a population explosion is making the world educated and healthy. In 2010, we had just short of 2 billion people online connected. By 2020, that's going from 2 billion to 5 billion internet users. 3 billion new minds who have never been heard from before are connecting to the global conversation. What will these people want? What will they consume? What will they desire? And rather than having an economic shutdown, we're about to have the biggest economic injection ever. These people represent tens of trillions of dollars injected into the global economy. And they will get healthier by using the tricorder, and they'll become better educated by using the Khan Academy, and by literally being able to use 3D printing and infinite computing more productive than ever before. So what could 3 billion rising, healthy, educated, and productive members of humanity bring to us? How about a set of voices that have never been heard from before? What about giving the oppressed, wherever they might be, the voice to be heard and the voice to act for the first time ever? What will these 3 billion people bring? What about contributions we can't even predict? The one thing I've learned at the X Prize is that small teams, driven by their passion with a clear focus, can do extraordinary things. Things that large corporations and governments could only do in the past. Let me share and close with a story that is the fact that we are now more empowered as individuals to take on the grand challenges of this planet. We have the tools with this exponential technology. We have the passion of the DIY innovator. We have the capital of the techno-philanthropist. And we have 3 billion new minds coming online to work with us, to solve the grand challenges, to do that which we must do. We are living into an extraordinary decades ahead. Thank you.
So people have been telling me, oh my God, there's going to be 3 billion more people on this earth. Isn't that, what do you say, awful? Isn't that terrible? They're going to be using up all the resources. What do we do? And he has a very different perspective. Those 3 billion are minds, are creative minds, who are going to be developing and helping the rest of humanity. It's a great mind shift, and I sure am glad that I am part of that mind shift. Here are some ideas, some tips that I was thinking would help us cultivate our own mind shift and the things that we have been talking about. They're much simpler, but they're more personal, okay? Change is inevitable. Your life yesterday is not your life today. I'm sorry. You can be so regretful. You can say, oh my God, it was so much better then. It's not going to help. Change is inevitable, so why not just embrace it? Let gratitude shift your focus from lack to abundance, and that's hopefully what I was talking about this morning. Practice mindfulness and live in the present. Celebrate others' achievements, not only your own, because when you celebrate others' achievements, they're reflected back on you. Recognize and challenge limiting beliefs, and I think that's why all of us are here, because we're so sick of limiting beliefs that we have come to a place that helps us expand those beliefs. Be generous with others to help you recognize your own abundance. You have a lot. Surround yourself with positive influences. Look around you. Those are all positive influences today. And set goals and take actions, and we all do that. So, I hope these tips will help you. They are certainly doing the job for me, and I want to thank you. Are you going to do this? Our closing hymn is Life is the Greatest Gift of All. Please rise in body or spirit and join us in singing. And this is Matt Riley, who I was talking about earlier. And he closes, he speaks with these words, so I'm quoting him. It's incredible, he says, this moaning pessimism, this knee-jerk, things are going downhill reaction from people living amid luxury and security that their ancestors would have died for. The tendency is to see the emptiness, and my glass is now empty because I drank that potable water, is it's almost, the emptiness of this glass is pervasive. It's almost if people cling to bad instead of clinging to good like a comfort blanket. How do we change this mindset? Well, I leave you with this question. I certainly hope you can move towards accomplishing this goal. It's a process, it's certainly worth it, and we're all in it together. Thanks. Let's extinguish the chalice.
Because it's my turn. Let us extinguish our chalice with these words, which we read together. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we keep in our hearts and share with all the world.
The prosperity chant in the very beginning, she's found this video.
What do I want? What do I desire? What will bring me to my highest good? What do I want? What do I desire? What will bring me to my highest good? Prosperity, prosperity, I claim it, I claim it. Abundance, abundance is mine, is mine. Love, love flows through me, flows through me. I feel joy all the time, all the time. I can have it, I can have it. I deserve it, I deserve it. I claim it, I claim it. It is mine, it is mine. I can have it, I can have it. I deserve it, I deserve it. I am it, I am it. It is mine, it is mine. Peace, peace fills my heart, fills my heart. I surrender, everything, everything. Health, health is my birthright, is my birthright. Passion, passion helps me sing, helps me sing. I can have it, I can have it. I deserve it, I deserve it. I claim it, I claim it. It is mine, it is mine. I can have it, I can have it. I deserve it, I deserve it. I am it, I am it. It's my time, it's my time. Break it on down. Anything I want, anything I desire, anything that brings me to my highest good. Anything I want, anything I desire, anything that brings me to my highest good. I release, and let go, I accept, what is mine, I can have, what I want, and let spirit, direct the flow. Life is good, life is fun, life is great, this song is done.
Our worship is up. Our worship is over. Our service begins. Go in peace and with a purpose.